What's going on? Welcome to Relationshots, the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in a real relationship. If you have not already downloaded the free guide to intimacy, download it below. This will help you evaluate 4 areas in your relationship and how to grow and strengthen those. Whether you've been dating 3 weeks or you've been married 30 years, you will find value in that guide. So go ahead and download that. So maybe you've asked the question before, how do I evaluate a potential partner? What should I be looking for? What should I look out for? How do I know if this person can work for me? I think those are questions everybody asks at some point in the dating relationship. And let me break 2 categories down for you. I think one category is what I would call wants. I've done a whole video on wants versus needs, so I'm not going to break it down here. But you have one category that's wants. And that's the idea that the things that you like, your preferences, that are not necessary for a relationship. And when I say necessary, I mean without them, the relationship suffers and harm is done. That's a need. A want is simply things that would make the relationship more enjoyable for you as an experience, right? It may be height, it may be looks, it may be personality, some of those kind of things. So, and then there's another category called needs, where I would say, if some of these needs are not present, you absolutely have no business being in a relationship. And one of those needs is that the other person genuinely cares about your emotional well-being, period. If that's not present, this is not a potential partner. You want to run as fast as you can. And I know what you're thinking, oh, they care about me, they do nice stuff for me, and they take me out. There's a big difference between I'm doing things for you because it makes you happy, which in turn means you do things back for me. That means I'm concerned about my well-being, not your well-being. It's like the phrase you've probably heard before, happy wife, happy life. All that means is my real interest is a happy life. That's me focused. And I know that if I have a happy wife, I tend to get peace and the happy life I want. That's not me being primarily concerned with her emotional well-being. That's me going, I like what I like, and I realize if I do nice things for them, they give me what I like. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who cares about your emotional well-being. First and foremost is concerned about you, not how you make them feel. So I want to give you 5 questions you absolutely have to ask and answer. These will help you judge whether this person genuinely cares about your well-being, and if they don't, this is not somebody you want to be in relationship with. So here are 5 questions you absolutely must ask to judge whether this person cares about your well-being. Number 1, do they try to get to the bottom of your concerns? When you express a concern, do they genuinely have a desire and curiosity to understand your concern and understand why it's important to you? Now, some people want to hear your concern so they can move past it and make things good again because they're mostly caring about the peace in the relationship. I'm saying, do they genuinely want to know why you brought the concern and why this concern is important to you? The reason this is important is because not only will that help them in this situation to not keep repeating it, but if they genuinely understand why this is important to you, now they can take the understanding of its importance and put it in context of other situations. So you don't have to correct them every single time they do something under the same theme. Now, a lot of people are not genuinely concerned about your well-being, and so they want to get through the issue quick. Those are the people who want to hurry up, push, resolve. They don't like the tension. They always want to resolve things. They can't even sit in the tension for a day or two. They've got to have it resolved now because they care about their peace most. So you want to know that a person really wants to get to the bottom of why did you bring this concern up and why is this so important to you? Even if it's not important to me, I want to understand why it's important to you. Number 2, do they respond to the issue at hand or do they try to dodge it? So when you bring up an issue, do you find that they deflect, that they dodge it, that they dance around it, that they try to figure out some way to change the subject so they don't really have to deal with it? When you bring a concern, do they dig into that concern? Like number 1 said, do they try to understand it? Or do you feel like they're just trying to dodge it? They're trying to deflect. They're trying to get past it. They're trying to move around it. Do they change the subject all the time? If they're doing that, they're really not concerned about your well-being. They're mostly concerned about how they feel. They're concerned about the peace in the relationship, and they really don't want to deal with that thing at all. Number 3, do they take your concerns seriously, or do they try to belittle you and make you feel dumb for ever having brought up the issue? Now, a lot of times people, now we've all become familiar with gaslighting because it's such a popular word at this point, but people who will minimize, they'll make fun of it, they'll belittle it, they'll say you're over exaggerate, they say you're too sensitive, they use all these words. Oh man, you're making a big deal of something, you're making more of it than it. And again, if you over exaggerate and you're super emotional and you do blow things out of proportion, you need to deal with it. But there's also people who are not concerned about your well-being, and so instead of taking with seriousness the concern you bring up, they have as a regular habit, I'm going to belittle you, I'm going to make fun of you, I'm going to make you feel like you were dumb for bringing it up, I'm going to minimize it, I'm going to act like it was no big deal, you're making a bigger deal out of something than it really is, and I'm going to put you in a position, if I don't care about your well-being, where you're going to question whether you ever should have brought it up, because guess what, if I do that enough to you, then at some point you'll quit bringing stuff up, which is my ultimate goal, because my ultimate goal is not to care about your well-being, it's to care about my well-being and what I want in the relationship. So if somebody continues to minimize, belittle, say you over-exaggerate, say you're too sensitive, act like the stuff you bring up is not a big deal, instead of going, you know what, you brought it up, this is a serious concern, even if it's not a big concern to me, it's a serious concern to you, so I need to consider it. If they're not willing to do that, then I'm telling you, they do not care about your emotional well-being. Number 4, do they try to find ways to make you feel better, or are they too busy being defensive? These are the people that immediately when you bring something up to them, they get on the defense. So now they're getting defensive, and not only are they getting defensive, but they'll probably do a counterattack. They'll probably also tell you why you also do something too. Instead of addressing your issue, they're going to counter with their own issue, or they're just going to be defensive, or they're going to try to explain away why what happened. So justifications, excuses, trying to convince you that why you shouldn't feel the way you feel because I didn't try to do the thing that you think I tried to do to you, and because that was not my intent or my motive, because I wasn't trying to do it, then now you shouldn't feel that, instead of just going, you know what, it may not have been my intention, but you do feel this way, so how can I address this, because this is how you feel emotionally, and how can I try to make you feel better, rather than spending so much energy getting defensive. So if you feel like they justify, they excuse, they try to convince you why you shouldn't feel that way because that's not how they were trying to make you feel, that's somebody who is more concerned about themselves than they are about your emotional well-being. And number 5, if they only respond, or let me put it in a question for you, do they only respond to you factually instead of actually connecting to your emotional well-being? Now listen, I know not all of us have the same skill set, ability, temperament to be emotionally expressive or even emotionally intelligent. So I'm not saying that everybody should be this emotionally connected, intelligent, always able to express themselves, but if the person you are considering as a potential partner is only able to ever or rarely can't respond to you with anything other than facts, that's going to be a problem at some point down the relationship. If they are trying to argue with you the facts rather than how you feel, that's going to be a problem throughout the relationship. So when they, instead of addressing the actual conflict and how the conflict made you feel, they spend all their time in the conflict arguing facts and details and specifics instead of tapping into how you feel. So that's somebody who says, I never called you stupid, I said that was a stupid idea. Dude, it's the same thing. The thing is, when you said what you said, it made me feel bad because I felt like you were calling me stupid. So whether you said you are stupid, that's a stupid idea, I think that's a stupid idea, why would anybody do that? That doesn't make any sense. All of the above make the other person feel like you think they're stupid, and that hurts their feelings. So if somebody can only respond to you factually, is always arguing the details and the facts, what I'm telling you is that's a person that's going to struggle to connect with you emotionally in a relationship. You want the person at times to be able to be, listen, maybe I disagree with you on the details of the specifics of what were said, but I really want to tap into I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That was not my intention. I don't want to make you feel that way. I apologize for making you feel that way. I don't need to argue factually and not have an ability to connect to your emotional well-being. That's a dangerous person to be in a relationship with. So if the person you are considering as a potential partner, when you ask those 5 questions, what you come back with is, this is not somebody who is able to or has any interest in caring about my emotional well-being. What I am telling you to do is run as fast as you can. This is not somebody who cares about your well-being. And I know, don't come back to, well, they do nice things and they're so nice and they take me out and they do all that stuff. Okay. But are they doing that just so they'll get in return the stuff that they want from you? That's not a genuine concern for your well-being. That's a genuine concern for themselves. And I know if I do these things, then I get what I want. You want a potential partner, somebody you think about you want to be in a marriage relationship with or a long-term relationship with. Needs to be somebody. And I say need. This is a relational need, that they are able to care about you emotionally, that they have concern for your emotional well-being. And if that is not present, this absolutely is not somebody that you should continue for a long-term relationship. If they are, then guess what I would say? Keep dating them. Keep evaluating the relationship on the other stuff that's important, like values, desires. Do you want the same things in life? Do you line up in some of the areas that are most important to you? Keep dating and keep evaluating that. If these things are not present, then I don't care about all that other stuff, because these are necessary for a healthy relationship. They must care about your emotional well-being. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. If we can help you in any area of your relationship, we have a relationship blueprint course that will help you prepare for the relationship that you really want to be in. You can check that out in the link below as well. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on Relationshots.